So, welcome, dear friends. We are here to be part of this special meeting together with the mentors, with the spiritual team of the Spirit Society of Virginia. And as we usually start the meeting with a reading, we're reading today chapter 101 from Our Daily Bread. Resist temptation. Blessed is the man who endure temptation. Jesus 1:12. As our spiritual ship sails through the waters of inferiority, we are not immune to serve inner conflicts, especially in the physical realm. Wherever we undertake the improvement of our soul by making use of the work and obstacle present by the world, we can expect an increase of difficulties that comfort us on the path of illuminated knowledge. Against our yearns for enlightenment, we are faced with past millennia of darkness. Opposing our most humble aspiration to grow in the good, there are centuries in which we took pleasure in evil. Hence, amongst the blessings from on high, temptations of all sorts abound on the disciples' path. At times, disciples believe they are well prepared to slay the dragons of animalistic that prowl about their doors. However, when they least expect it, degrading suggestion pounds on them again and drive them into the challenging battle. Therefore, it is obvious that not even the grave can exhort us from our duels with the darkness, because its roots extended into the very organization of our spirit. Only the death of our inner imperfections can free us from them. So, constructive talent should develop the human pathway, because even because evil insinuations are going to encircle us around about as long as we linger in our partial accomplishment of the good. We will achieve freedom only when we attain full enlightenment. Understanding the transcendent importance of this fact, the apostle states, "Blessed is the man who endured temptation." At the present time, any reference to complete triumph is impossible, because we are still so very far from the angelic state. However, we will be blessed if we endure well these types of struggle and control and impulse of undeveloped sentiments, perfecting them little by little at the cost of our personal effort, so that we may not give the indefensively to the inferior suggestion that seek to turn us into living instruments of evil. So, friends, this is something that we need to really think about it, because we are being tempted daily, hourly, every minute. So we now have these teachings, we have these books that can helping and guide us to be more aligned with Jesus, with the teachings. So that's why he said, "Blessed is the man who endures temptations," because temptations will be everywhere. But if we embrace, if we put effort and put aside whatever we are take it for granted and thinking only about us, Jesus and his team will be with us, helping us and guiding us to progress. So let us see what else the meetings for tonight. That's okay, thank you. So let us all now feel the connection with the spirit mentors, the directors assigned by God to guide, inspire us, treat us, teach us. Dear God, what a privilege for us to be here in a Spiritist center, in a world where we have some thousands and yet not enough to embrace the billions of its inhabitants. Tonight, especially, we want to open our awareness to new understanding, to feel the vibrations of harmony and be willing to stay connected with them every day. We think of the people who have their names in our book of prayer, who request help and treatment. May they feel the presence of the spirit doctors, nurses, and therapists reaching out, consoling, treating them, bringing solutions, inspiring each one of them to new frontiers of the Spirit. It is with immense gratitude that we receive your permission to open our study, our treatment tonight. And so be it. Okay. Today we're going to talk about a topic that's, we may think, why do we need to talk about it? Why do we need to understand the Spiritist Center? What is to be understood? Right? What do we have to understand? Good question. I love these questions. You know? Good questions open new frontiers in science, so we need to keep asking good questions. So, here we are. Just double check what's happening here. Yeah, very good. All right. All right. So why? The topic originally was mutual help, and this is no different.
Because what is a Spiritist center? We don't have Spiritist centers everywhere. We have friends like Carol, who lives in Delaware and has to travel 2 hours to have a Spiritist center. We have Nora, who is here connected to us, is in Brownsville, Texas. She doesn't have a Spiritist center there. We have friends like Rihanna in South Africa. They don't have a Spiritist center there, unless they do it themselves. Like somebody whom I know in many parts of the world, people who, oh, do you know of a center here? Said, if you don't, then it's your turn. Oh, me? Yeah, you. How did you begin? Well, it's a cell with prayer, study and prayer, and then people join. It doesn't depend on us because the plans are not ours. So first of all, Spiritist centers are not ours. They don't belong to us. I used to be in Baltimore. It started in my house 24 years ago. After 14 years there, day and night, I had to say, guys, you need to continue because now I need to focus on the SSVA. They're still there. They're still there. It doesn't belong to me. It does not even the SSVA. None of us. We have responsibility administering it. But it doesn't belong to a person. It's not our idea. Whose idea is this? Of course, right, John? It's from on high. When Kardec, in 1858, remember, he published the Spirit's book on April 18th, 1857. On January 1st, 1858, he published the Spiritist magazine. Why? Because he needed something, the periodicals that are quick at the time, monthly. He would do it monthly. Without a computer, without internet, without photocopier, he would do it monthly by himself. He was a genius. We do the Spiritist magazine every 3 months for 14 years. And I tell you, it's not easy. In spite of the fact that we have computer, we have an art designer, person, and yet, Kardec did it all by himself. But it wasn't enough. He realized we cannot be Spiritists at home. Reading, praying, minding our business. No, we need a team. Jesus himself, the governor of the planet, he had a team. Who are we to claim, oh, I can read my books at home, watch it online. If you're close, come. Leave the online for those that don't have anything. Because it is in this gathering that we actually take action. But what is the action? We're not here to, I particularly don't like the podium. I would rather sit down and be, but cameras, etc. We're forced, microphone. We're forced to be behind a podium. But that doesn't make us an authority. Because none of the things we talk about are our discoveries. We're like students. We study and hopefully we're sharing it with precision because we have responsibility. But what is a Spiritist center? Why did Kardec realize that we needed a society? Kardec was inspired by on high to create the first Spiritist society in the world. And since 1858, in Brazil alone, we have more than 15,000 Spiritist centers, more. In the US alone, the last estimate that I got was like 80 group centers. This is before the pandemic. I don't know what's happening now. So we know like many groups in Europe, many groups in Australia, in New Zealand, Japan, Hawaii. I mean, it's spread out throughout the Americas, North America, Central America, South America, and it just grows as we speak. And we're like, but Vanessa, my friends don't know about Spiritism. I open the dictionary, don't see the word. Well, it's on us to write to the dictionaries and say, hey, hello, this word exists. Include, because in the Brazilian dictionary, it's already there. In the Spanish one, so you guys need to update, because these words exist, spiritism, spiritist, etc., mediumship, etc., etc. So it's our task. We're being called to participate. Let's understand why. Many of the pictures we're going to get is from a project in Brazil that was inspired in this book that is not in English yet, in The Harvest of the Good, Nascido do Bem, by the medium Luiz Antônio Ferraz and the spirit Antônio Carlos Tonini. The illustrations comes to us to magnify. I know many of us have seen these illustrations in the past, but let us recap feeling what's happening right here, right now. Some people think, it's not a mediumistic meeting. What we're doing here, is it mediumistic or not? Everything we do is mediumistic. Meaning, what is mediumistic? Is there an interchange between the spirit realm and the physical? Of course. The difference between this and the meeting that we do on Monday is that on Monday, we focus solely on the spirits that need help. Here, it's two works, us and them and us together. Sometimes we're speaking the voice of the good spirits. Sometimes we're speaking the voice of the bad spirits. Somebody comes to us and says, oh, Vanessa, I like when you speak, but I don't like when that person speaks. Is which voice is this person speaking? The voice of evil. I like your passes, not that person's passes. I like your passes better, or I like when you... Mamma mia, can we just zip it? Can we just zip it? Because at that moment, we're being the spokesperson of evil. And when we become spokesperson of evil, the consequences stay in us. Of course, we have particular sympathy for a certain dynamic. We like study groups. I do too. Next week, we're going to shift a little the dynamics because we need to implement the study of a very important book named Life and Sex, which is not about sex, about family. It's a book about family by Emmanuel. We're going to study chapter by chapter. It talks about family, children, talks about marriage, etc. The book was recently translated and needs to be studied. And we'll study it together. But even though I may have my preferences, they don't count. What counts is what has to happen for the general good. But one thing, it's a work of the good. We learned that Spiritist centers are temples, hospital, office, and a school at the same time. It's a school for us because we're learning things for immortality. Every time we are here, everything we're learning, we take to immortality. It's never a waste of time. Oh, I should have gone to that party. Should have stayed at home. Should have been at work. I'm not so sure what we do there we will take to the spiritual realm as a plus. But if we come here and have a very open disposition to learn and to serve and to love, because this is the slogan of the SSV, has been since we started, to learn, to love, to serve, then we are putting good things that will take to immortality. It's never a waste. We learn. But we're not alone. The other spirits will come, they learn. But it's also a hospital, because we need help. Our families need help. And it's a support system for us. We help one another, support each other in critical times and non-critical times. And the spirits who are with us are also being helped. We have a spiritual hospital, huge spiritual hospital. Now the good spirits have said months ago, right, that they are building a city, like a colony. Because you think that the spiritual colonies, they're like in a snap, boom. No, Nosso Lar was built by Portuguese in Brazil. And now these efforts are building foundation for a spiritual colony closer to us. It's named Hope City. And they have beautiful lavender fields. That's why everything's lavender here. Because it's like, it's trying to remind us of what's happening in the real realm. Because this is temporary. There, it's the real one. So it's a hospital. It's also a temple where we cherish our spirituality. And an office where we work, where we're useful. Just by studying, we're being useful. Because our minds, everything is the mind, thought and life, Emmanuel. We're focusing our minds in good things. And we're being useful. So, they show that this spirit named Tonini and the mentor, they are in the spiritual realm, and they're bringing him to a Spiritist center to teach him stuff in the Spiritist center. Just like Andrea Lewis books. Now, this is from the spiritual point of view. As they enter, look at the two men. Now, let's try to recognize them. See, these two on that left, they are the ones who are entering the center. Is it like a club? Oh, we enter, we do whatever we like, we show our ID. Hey, no, there's order. Nobody enters here in the spiritual realm just because they want. They are greeted by the spirit directors. There is order. And what's happening there? They are the group of workers in the spiritual realm. Before we come, they are already here. They are here day and night, night and day. How often Mentor Joseph says, I live very close to the center, like half a mile. He doesn't allow me to come here when I want. Because he says, when you enter, you may disrupt the works that they are doing in the spiritual realm with your thoughts. So when you enter, Vanessa, that's what Virginia and I do every time. We open the door and say, excuse me, Jesus. Because it's not ours. I remember in Baltimore, when I used to live there, and I was working at the center, sometimes my work allowed flexible schedules. It was a weekday, and I bought a special plant for the center. I was so happy. I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to bring the plant to the center in the middle of the week. Nobody's there. I entered, I put the plant, and then Mentor Joseph was like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm putting the plant. I'm so happy. we put this new plant here. And he said, you think the center is yours? And I said, no, but it looks like it. It's not your house. He said, so shouldn't I bring the plant? He said, no, but you need to ask for permission, Renis. The center is not your house. You can't do whatever you like. You need to ask for permission, prepare yourself mentally, because we're here working. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize back then. So, it's very serious, though loving. Look at the expressions of the people they are preparing to help. There is a director in the spiritual realm. There's a group of assigned directors who have their assigned tasks. They have groups of workers that are working here, hopefully through us. They count on our preparation to be in synchronicity with them. And then Tonini got to know that they had guards. And of course, the drawing is figurative of the description of these towers of security in the center. And you may ask her, why do we need security? Because it's planet Earth. Look at our capital in Washington, D.C. On January 6th, it was violently trespassed. Do we need security? Oh, you bet. We need security. In two realms. We are the security in the physical. That's why we close the door when the prayer ends. We don't want to be unhappily surprised. Right? It's on us. Oh, I believe in God, let it open. No, we have rules. We lock the door after the prayer. Now, in the spiritual realm, it's graver because many of us enter here, and there are those who don't like that we enter here. Where do they stay? Probably they don't enter. Not because they are not allowed. The energy field is not pleasant for them. It doesn't match. They don't enter. We have these magnetic resources of defense. In a book by Divaldo Franco, he says, in regard to the passes room, in some centers in Brazil, they have another room for passes. The mediumship room, the conference room, like ours, the superior spirits provided complex equipments that have specific roles in the spiritual realm. Now in Brazil, more and more spiritist centers are adopting giving the passes as we do in the conference room. And actually at the very chairs where people are. Because in these very chairs, there are equipment that are invisible to our eyes, that are working on us while we're here. We don't need to go to a specific room. We are in a very specific room already. It sounds like science fiction, I know. Well, let's use our reasoning, right? Chico Xavier knew of all these things that would come along from TV, before TV. He already knew things like that would happen, internet, phone, etc. Because things happen in the spiritual realm first and then in the physical. So, for example, the podium, the mediumistic table, they have apparatuses that are preparing, even the screen through which we're transmitting things in the spiritual realm, they have their broadcasting too. In our case, because our center is the headquarters of Kardec Radio, the magazine, we have huge broadcasting equipment here in the center that broadcast to the spiritual realm in great scale. because of the radio and the magazine. But there are groups of spirits that are not allowed to come here and enter and do whatever they like. They can't wander around and do whatever they like. What happens outside? This is outside the center. And this is the major highlight for us. We're here. And then we have beautiful ideas. The minute we walk out, we enter the car, we start feeling different sometimes. Why? Because we reconnect with those that didn't enter with us. But they are listening to what we're saying. So we enter the car, and some of these spirits come to us and say, yeah, it's boring. And they start, I agree with you, it's boring. Why do you waste your time going there? You don't, what do those people know? Who are they? Are they saints? I know they are not. Don't you think so? And they talk. And we think we're just thinking, but it's not us. Hopefully, when we leave, we feel excited and say, oh, today I'm going to open a book and read that book because we're highly attuned. And the good spirit, oh no, let's start listening to the audiobook now. Connect now. I'm not going to wait till I get home. The good spirit said, yes, do it. Our guardian angels. It's our choice. It's our attunement. That's why the good spirits say, when we leave, we shouldn't be chatting in the parking lot. It's risky because then we can disconnect. And sometimes we only need one word to change frequency. Isn't that true? Wi-Fi. You just need a few letters to enter a connection. In the spiritual realm, it's no different. If I am leaving this room and somebody says something that is less elevated, I already disconnected. So we need to be careful when the meeting ends, the conversations we cherish, because here is a way for us to recalibrate, reattune, stay strong, to go to our daily lives and multiply the good we have received. The good spirits are counting on us. The flyers on the fraternal counseling that we have always done, now we're just reminding people, is this one-on-one that we do with people when they come. And it's a way for us, see this man, he's talking to the fraternal counselor, and while he's talking, the good spirits are operating on him. But we need to be sincere. I was reading about a book yesterday. I forgot the name and I apologize for it. But you can Google it and find out. It's a researcher that did research about lies and see how many people lie in the first 10 minutes of conversation. I know people who attempt to go to therapy and they don't want to talk about the main thing. They say, oh, my son, my daughter, my mom, my boss, my neighbor. Okay, can you tell why you're here? But really, why? Sometimes people don't know. They are confused. But sometimes we know, but we don't want to share it. And we want to be helped miraculously. When the blind man came to Jesus, you know the story in Jericho. The blind man was there. He heard. He was in need of help. His life was not easy. he heard that Jesus was passing by. He said, I'm going to be prepared. And the man said, Jesus is here. He's here. But the crowds were immense. And he was blind. He prayed to God and said, what do I do? The good spirit said, shout. And he said, Jesus, son of David, please have compassion on me. Jesus, son of David, please have compassion on me. Jesus comes and says, hello, what can I do for you? He's an evident. You could see what he wants. But what if he doesn't want vision, but he wants to be a millionaire, though blind? How would Jesus know? He needs to say. Every time Jesus would say, what do you want me to do for you? So we can't say, enter here and say, please fix it. We have to do their own decision. What do I want in my life? Jesus is asking us. So when we go there, no matter who is the instrument, the good spirits are there. There was a time in Chico Xavier Center. You've heard the story of the journalists who faked being people who were in need of communication from loved ones. They faked the information, everything. When they came to Chico, he gave the recommendation. And they're like, oh, the recommendation was not about names of anybody, but saying that they needed to pray, to elevate themselves. But you could see that if you were lying, you need help. If you're trying to trick somebody, you need help. We can't do this in a Spiritist center. We don't need to test people's superpowers because nobody has superpowers. Let me see if they know I'm lying. Let me test to see if they are soul mediums. I often ask Mr. Joseph, sometimes people say stories that are so incredible. How do we know if it's true or false? He said, it's none of your business. It doesn't matter, Vanessa. It doesn't matter. You don't need to know. You're not an investigator. You're not here as a detective. You don't need to ask. When we train in the course for fraternal counseling, we don't train people to investigate, to ask questions. We listen, and the good spirits inspire us to deliver a recommendation. That's it. We don't ask questions. We don't investigate. We don't speculate. It's not on us. We trust. Sometimes people will come to do the fraternal counseling and they don't know that the spirits that are obsessing them are just next to them. And that's why they're feeling that way. And it's not easy because sometimes you're seeing the spirit and you can't say to the person because it doesn't help. But we give guidance so the person can get out of it. Just like all of us. When people are speaking, we're not alone. How often we prepare, we come here, and everything we prepare doesn't come out. Some other things come. People come and say, how often we shared studies, gave talks, and people said here, in other centers, anywhere. It looks like it was made for me. And then in 100, 200, thousands of people in the same room, they say, that was for me. The good spirits know. We don't know anything, but they know. They know exactly what our group, the hybrid group, needs. Because we're not even presentially only. It's not only the spiritual realm and us, we have the other group over the internet. But look at this woman in pink. While the speaker is sharing the study, she, as he's talking about a topic that reminds her of an argument with her mom at home. And the goal is to inspire her to forgive and to adjust herself. This woman, they show that she's enveloped in these negative vibrations that is compromising her cardiovascular system. Yes, eating well is vital, exercising, but it's not enough. I know many people who were young, were personal trainers, had excellent food habits, they had a heart attack. That doesn't mean we're not going to eat well. That doesn't mean we're not going to exercise. But is that enough? No. Our thoughts, our feelings are very important. Today, I was like, in our car, you can shift like any car, but you can see the names nowadays of the songs that are playing, right? So we have this kids bop channel, and then the blend in the adult love. In our adult is all about, I'll give my best to you. You're the love of my life. And I said, Virginia. One song was named Enemy. The other of the kids bop, the new generation. I was like, Virginia, I know the rhythm is good, but because you know what's speaking, it's an affirmation in your brain. The other one says, you're breaking me up. The other one is stupid love. The other, savage love. What's happening to the new generation? Everything crazy and wild. Oh, you're going to break up with your girlfriend? Like, I know I like, it's very dancey-like, but be careful. If we keep listening to this day in, day out, every time we get into the car, it's an affirmation. We have to be careful. I'm sorry, that's the world we're living in. It's crazy. This man, he's seated at the Spiritist Center, but he's thinking of his business. I know it's tempting. And then his mind is elsewhere. He's not taking advantage of anything, and in that case, he cannot be helped. Because he's not here. His body is, but his mind is not, so he cannot be helped. You have to be with your mind and your heart. This man is sleeping. I know, especially Friday, we're tired, but it doesn't matter. We need to wake up. In his case, you see the brownish light, like a fluidic link of the obsessor that say outside, it's like a Wi-Fi connection. They are trying to make him not pay attention to the information that will change his life. What changes our lives? A decision. And a decision that we make according to the truth. In Spiritist centers, we're devoted to the truth. The truth. One day we won't be here. That's the truth. But the world is not talking about that truth. They say, don't talk about it. Don't say it. Don't think about it. And then we lose a reincarnation. They show the incarnates in one level and the discarnates in another dimension upper level, like another dimension. And they show that the screen for those who are watching in the spiritual realm may be used for their studies that happen simultaneous to ours. In the children's rooms, we have several spirit teachers who are there. They care very carefully, very thoroughly for our children and the youth. But the parents, we, the parents, need to walk the talk. You know, our children won't come here if we don't bring them, if we don't tell them how important it is. And even if they say, I already know it, effort and repetition. You need to repeat and repeat. Why? Because in previous lives we had a mistake. Let's talk about somebody who in previous lives failed because of dishonesty. In this life, what's their thing? To be honest. Where on earth you're going to learn to be honest? Do they teach that in schools? No! We don't talk about morals in schools. Yes, now we're talking about emotions, positivity, peace, but not about moral standards. In Spiritist centers, we do. Our children come, and let's say that child that needs to deal with honesty in this life, in their adulthood, they come to the center. In that very day they came, we're talking about honesty. The good spirits highlight it so much to make it unforgettable in their memory. So one day, when they face their challenges, that's going to be helping them. Of course, coming once a week does not suffice, but it can help. Helping the parents, because parenting nowadays is the challenge. The challenge. Today, Julio from New Jersey, Julio Carvalho, he wrote to me. He's very interesting, very intense. He has come here before. He said, Vanessa, he has children, our daughter's age and younger. What's happening to schools here in New Jersey? I know Virginia overturned certain things about gender, etc. But it's crazy. I said, Julio, speak up then, but in English. Because if we do it in Portuguese, it doesn't change anything. We need to speak in the language of this country. Then do it. And talk about it. Because God made the body of men and women, and people want to invent something else. In the Spiritist literature, there is the body of man and the female and the male body. Of course, we are free to be X, XY, triple X, whatever we want to create the names. I am, now they say, not a he, not a she. They. Okay. We respect. We're not going to say but we're not going to teach it to children. No. We'll teach our children to be tolerant, to be respectful, but we're not going to incite them to do this. That's not nice. That's not charitable. It's evil. Because children don't have prefrontal cortex to make decisions that big. Who am I now? I remember this 11-year-old girl coming to my practice and saying, I'm bisexual. And I said, do you know what you're talking about? What do you mean bisexual? Oh, I like boys and girls. Of course, you have friends that are boys and girls. No, but in other way, do you mean you have sex with them? No. So then you're not bisexual, my friend. You're not. Oh, but my sister, she is. What is the name of that? It's another thing. Not bisexual, not transsexual. I forgot the name. It's another name now. Omnisexual. Omni. Do you know what that means? No. But it's cool. It's fashionable. And then the doctor's office are like that. Bringing children to a very disturbing state of mind. Because we adults are not helping them. We're creating more confusion. Do we talk to Virginia about it? Yes, but very simply, saying, there are people who decide otherwise. Well, it's their deal, but God made you come in a girl's body. You have to figure out why, Virginia. Because God has a proposal for you. It's up to you. But remember, as my father used to say, what you do with your life, it's your problem. It's not mine. So you better make the most of it. And then it's funny because she saw the neighbors. They are Asian. There is a boy and a girl. She came to me. You see how children don't process it very straightforwardly. She said, Mom, I think that boy, who is like 6, he's now transgender. I said, why do you transgender? It's impossible, Virginia. What do you mean? I saw now he's using a ponytail. I said, no, it's a cousin. It's his cousin. They look alike, but they're not the same. And it's interesting to see, you see how they cannot process by themselves? We cannot do this with them. We cannot create this confusion in their minds because the world is doing that. In the Spiritist Center, the most important activity is with the children. That's why every lesson is custom made for them. Every week we have a group of educators that sit down and the good spirits give the lesson plan. They revisit, they meet twice a week to go over the plans, to prepare to deliver the lessons. Let's not take it for granted, because it's the most important service in the center. It's with the children and youth. And thank God on Sundays we have a phenomenal group of children. There are simply, you can tell that they are going to fly high in the future because you can tell how special each one of them are. They have their task to be fulfilled. And they are receiving the seeds. The book of prayer that we have. Oh, we're putting names. The good spirits, these are discarnate spirits. They have special apparatuses that show that they screen the names that are being there and which ones are highlighted, especially those that are written with loving intention. If we write down the names of adversaries, enemies, like this, keep an eye on this person for me. They're not going to see it. Different from please. Help this person. So we become friends one day. That's our goal. Be friends with people. The passes. It doesn't matter the person who is instrument of the passes. Though we prepare ourselves, there are courses. Nobody gives passes in the SSVA without a course, without preparation. Because on the behind the scenes, the spirit doctors, they will use us, but they will use anyone. You may be seated while people are receiving their passes, and maybe you are the person who is giving more energy to help, not the pass giver. How can I prove that the passes that I received with this person came from this person? Maybe came from the pass giver that was next to us, or to somebody who was seated in the room, or maybe even somebody who's next door is a good medium in his business, saying a prayer, and the good spirits are using his mediumistic abilities to help us. See how little we know. But this man, the man that has the bubble, he's not receiving much because his mind is elsewhere at work. He's receiving the passes thinking of work. So he's not receiving anything. The water that we distribute is magnetized by the good spirits. There's specific remedies there, but we only absorb it if we drink it with intention and faith. As Jesus said, your faith heals you. And as we are here and the spirits are operating through us, they are also taking the spirits that are coming with us, that need to be rescued, that are also in need of help, to the spiritual colony, to the spiritual realm, to be helped. We could talk much more, but what is more essential is to ask ourselves. In Virginia, Northern Virginia, we only have the SSVA. It's very precious. And it doesn't come without effort in two realms. It's important for us to ask, what is my relationship with the Spiritist Center that I connect to? Even if it is online. What am I multiplying what I'm receiving? Or am I just there as people from other religions who go every week, check the box, go home, and do everything else? Why are we reincarnated? Because the reincarnation ends when we least expect. Our loved ones went before us. And it's the proof that when we least expect, God calls us. When Jesus asked the rich young man, come, leave everything, come with me. The young and rich man said, one last race, and then I'll go. He died in the race. There's no tomorrow. The only thing we have is now. The books we want to read, tomorrow doesn't exist. Benjamin Franklin is not only a founding father of the United States, a genius, he's also a spiritist. He participated in the compilation of Spiritism at Kardec's time, and he's responsible for Kardec Radio and the Spiritist magazine and so many things. And he used to say that we can't, the same that I'm going to say about the future and the present.
I'm sure he said something about it.
We need to do things today. Tomorrow doesn't exist. Basically, he reminds us all the time. Today. If we're going to read that book, today. If we're going to do the good, today. If we're going to reconcile with somebody who is not on the same page with us, today. Because tomorrow may be too late. Let's ask ourselves, we are given much. But when God gives us, I remember when I was going through something in 2005, going through a certain problem, and things got resolved. This woman was much more experienced. Friends with Divaldo Franco, she says, remember what Joana de Angelis used to say. You're just given a credit card, Bernice. Credit. When we have a problem and it gets to be solved, it's credit. Because we are not good enough to receive so much, because our past is very complicated in previous lives. It's God saying, go, I'll give you another loan. Do the good, make good choices. To finalize, we'll talk about the healing medium that I met in Brazil. Edson Queiroz. Edson Queiroz was very famous in Brazil. He used to channel Dr. Fritz and lots of spirits and heal many people. He was a real medium with huge spiritual company. But, famous, the rich people start to, oh, I'm going to bring you with an airplane. I'm going to give you a car and this and that. And if your vanity, your pride doesn't allow you to stay true to your mission, you start deviating. What did the good spirits do? Because he had some merit, they said, we're going to take you out of this body before you end up complicating your life even more. He died before he was supposed to die, as a concession of God, so he wouldn't complicate his life anymore. So we are here seated thinking, oh, I can make a choice. No, it's not that you can make a choice. You better be convinced that the choice of God is your choice, because God already made a choice for you. Because if you don't, diseases will come and many other complications. So we have another opportunity to think again. Do I want to indulge in material life? We've been there, done that many lives. And we're talking about materialism because in this area of the country, it's what blinds us the most, the comfort of life. How easy it is. And we are in a very prosperous country where material things are very tempting. That's the message Luciana read for us. Resist temptation. The message is clear. If we want to keep thinking, deciding, don't play with evil forces because they exist. We see it every Monday. Don't play with evil forces. They exist. So let us meditate and think about the opportunity we have day and night to be connected with the spirit mentors that are connected to our center and are asking us to join forces with them to work and to serve and to learn and to love. We're going to wrap up with the spiritual passes today, exceptionally today, to show to us that the ones that give the passes are the good spirits, not us. We were a little more extensive today for particular needs. Let us cherish the virtual process, which is in our website and Kardec Creators in Portuguese, Spanish, and in English. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us to do it every day.
Have a real need to receive passes. Do not use the room simply out of curiosity. Casual visits to the room will negate its future benefits when needed. When using the room, have gratitude and show respect as you would when visiting a physical Spiritist center. During the passes, silently evoke God's protection as well as Jesus. Also pray to your guardian angel. Concentrate on positive thoughts, thereby avoiding negative ones. Breathe deeply, slowly, calmly, and confidently. Always be ready to pray. Let us begin this passes session by praying as our guide and model, Jesus Christ, has taught us with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who is in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Now, let us feel that small points of suffering, bitterness, sadness, anger, deception, disappear from your mind to not return. Like aged leaves that are shed from trees, let go of those feelings that no longer serve you. And gently, but most assuredly, discard them. Let the wind of life carry them so far away that they are unable to return and recreate their negative link. Little by little, your emotional tree sheds its negative feelings, becoming clean and ready for its renovation. Without the weight of those dead leaves, you feel lighter and are able to feel the gentle water of life now abundantly falling onto your physical body, spiritual body, and soul. This water cleans, disinfects, purifies, deconstructs, and tones all the cells of your body. Nothing can escape its renewing action. At the same time it is cleaning and moisturizing your body, this crystalline liquid satiates your spirit, eliminating affliction, anxiety, and unrest. Now within your heart resides a sense of calmness, cleanness, and well-being. Then the light of God emerges to warm and snuggle you, while caring rays penetrate your whole body and tenderly embrace you like a maternal hug, which brings comfort and safety to your heart. At this moment, great love warms your heart and removes the coldness resulting from any affliction. Now, your mind contains only feelings of joy and confidence. You are at peace and enveloped by a protective warmth. The heart of life offers you perfumed flowers. Then, with a grateful and happy soul, you gather their colorful petals that penetrate your whole being, restoring feelings and emotions of happiness, hope, faith, courage, and determination, helping you to regain the willingness to live. In addition to the perfume and color, nature also shares with you the best it has to offer, an infinite capacity for restoring its sublime beauty, even when struck by evil that appears to enact its end. Divine hands full of light gently overflow and spill over you like a golden waterfall of unspeakable and unknown essence. Little by little, your soul is impregnated with sweet happiness, allowing an inner renewal of the most noble and elevated purposes, that of progress and accomplishment. Showered by this sublime power, you deeply surrender to the donor of light, absorbing energy that now gives your life a new and blessed impulse. You called me, and here I am. What do you want from me today? What do you need? Ask, my son. Ask, my daughter. I am here to help. Now, ask your special request to Jesus, enumerating the problems and difficulties that afflict you. I listen to your request with love and attention. Now I count on your faith and trust in me to solve your problems. Go in peace. I am watching over you, and I will not lose sight of you. Believe in God and also believe in me. I will be with you every day until the end. Be happy. Many blessings.
We thank you, Master Jesus, for your kindness, for the loving and kind spirit doctors, nurses, and therapists who operated upon us, delivering the treatment that we need. We thank also the opportunity that was granted for our loved ones in two realms of life. What a joy to be invited to teamwork with you. What an honor. We pray that the world feels your presence, loving and strong, sustaining all of us in our evolution. We visualize flowers of healing being delivered to everyone in the physical and spiritual realm, as we visualize a special bouquet of flowers that is being placed in our dining table at home, so we may harmonize ourselves, our homes, and feel your presence inviting us to peace and kindness. With much to be grateful for, We ask for your permission to conclude our reflection of the night. And so be it.
Remember what the quote was.
What is it?
Don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. That's what
Yes, thank you.